Secondly, I'd ask that you guys try and keep your distance. If you come out of the cars, make sure you put the masks on. Mainly because we do have an outbreak going on in the valley, and we've got to prove that we can do things safely and we can do things smart. Because that's the only way we're going to keep our economy moving and keep moving forward through this pandemic. What I'm going to talk to you about today is who I am and where I stand. My wife and the kids are going around with note cards. If you have specific questions, I ask that you fill them out on that note card and just flick the lights and we'll come over and grab them. They'll bring them up to me. And that way we limit the amount of interaction and limit the opportunity for any sort of spread of the virus. I'm a local, and I find it serendipitous, I guess is the word I'm looking for, that I'm out here in front of the Parka speaking to people about running for office and trying to do greater good for our valley. For the last 13 plus years, I have been raising money in the Parka for all sorts of local organizations, whether it's the Dewey Mark Foundation for the Scholarship for Kids, whether it's ESSC, the Eastern Slope Ski Club. We have raised tens of thousands of dollars inside of this building. So I just seem kind of fitting that as a local sitting in front of one of our Valley Originals, I get to speak to you all about trying to run for office. I'm a father. I'm a father of 5, 3 of which are running around here right now with their red Team Gilmore shirts on. 4 daughters and 1 son. And that drives a lot of my decision making. I care about the future. I care about their future. I care about the environment they're going to grow up in. I care about their rights as young women, as older women. I'm a husband. I've been married for 13 years. And I have no idea how this lovely lady was able to put up with my garbage for 13 years, never mind the last 6 months of running for office. As a husband, I've learned temperance, just a little, a very, very little. I've learned that I need to speak softer and listen more. And that's one of the biggest things that we miss in our representatives is the ability to listen closely, take in the information, and come up with meaningful ideas and concepts in the middle. I'm a veteran, right? Local, father, husband, veteran. I did 8 years in the U.S. Army, 2 tours in Afghanistan, 1 in Korea. I was a graduate of U.S. Army Ranger School, Sapper School, Airborne, Mountain Warfare. I've got a whole DD-214 loaded with cool kid stuff that I got to do. And that doesn't mean anything on the civilian world. What means something is the lessons you learn from being put in those challenging and austere locations and environments and being handed a problem that you don't have a solution for. There is no right answer. It's a hard answer. Nothing as simple as a silver bullet. Here we go. Being a leader means trying to balance risk and benefit. What's the reward? What's the cost? Those opportunities to serve in the United States military brought me all around the world. It took me 19 years to escape this place, and then it took me 13 to fight my way back. Like most people, I couldn't wait to leave. And then I got out and saw the rest of the world and said, oh my God, I gotta get back. I gotta get back. So when we had our first kids, there was nowhere else in the world that we wanted to raise them than right here. I'd lived in upstate New York, where there was a state tax, and there was a sales tax, and then there was a town tax, and tax, and your paycheck disappeared. I lived in Missouri, right? Down in the middle of nowhere, sprawling landscape. I saw things and heard things that racial stuff, preference, prejudice that I had never heard growing up in our happy little valley. And that doesn't mean it's not here, it's just I didn't hear it. So that military experience doesn't mean that I'm going to charge in and take the hill when I go down to Concord. It means that I have the experience of working with people from across the aisle, from across the country, and bridging gaps across barriers that have to do with culture, race, religion, and language. If I can work as a combat advisor and find a way to sit down across from a Taliban commander and have a cup of tea with a sworn enemy, why can't we sit down across from somebody who thinks different than us in Concord? Why do we have to separate? Why do I have to go this side and you go that side? And it's me versus you, us versus them. Them. No, we need to do better. We need to close that gap. So the last piece that brings me into who I am as a community leader. I started this with talking about how I've been raising money here for 13 years, tens of thousands. If we haven't crossed the six-figure digit, I'd be surprised. All right, I'm getting a thumbs up. So 6 figures, at least in the last 13 years. Over $100,000 we've raised for local things. That's what a community leader does. I'm not out there stumping and pushing people around and saying, you're bad or you're good. I take it, I listen to the people around, and I help them find solutions to the problems they might have. Whether it's solving an equipment issue with the Eastern Slope Ski Club. When I first came on that board, they would go and seek out huge grants, $80,000 grants every 10 years. And they would buy $80,000 worth of equipment. And they would use it until it was dead. But we couldn't sustain that. If our grant funding dried up through the Connie Davis Watson Foundation or any of the local groups, we weren't gonna get equipment. So the big thing that changed for me when I came in there is I was a little kid who didn't have skis the first year I did ESSC. I had skis with no bind or with no brake and a long thong tied to my leg. So the first time I crashed, I got this 1970 javelin in the back of my head and I still have a bump from it. A big piece for me was making sure that the kids who rent, because 50% of those kids are free. 50% of the kids who rent from ESSC are free because they can't afford it. My goal was to make sure that those kids who couldn't afford it had the best equipment possible. So we didn't have a haves and have-nots. So we implemented a rotation. Instead of getting $80,000 every 10 years, we spent 10 grand each year. And oh my God, that's $100,000 over 10 years. You spent more money. What we did to abate that was we sold it off at 5 years. We would pay X for it. And then we'd sell it for almost 80% of what we paid. After we had rented it out 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. With half the kids, man, we rented it out 2.5 times. That 2.5 times paid for the equipment, plus. And when we sold it back into the community, we provided a service to the locals so that local kids could have skis and they could ski past ESSC snow day. All in the favor of reducing costs and making it sustainable. So it's a multi-phase solution to a pretty simple problem, right? When we start talking about a problem, I want to make sure the kids have good skis. That's nothing compared to the problems we're facing as a valley. That's nothing compared to the problems we're facing as a nation. But it's a great example of how we can do small little tweaks to problems that are already there and make it more beneficial for the consumer, more beneficial for the citizen, more beneficial for the kids and the families of the valley. Going a step further, being in the military, being a community leader, it's about leadership. And leadership to me is more than just a word, it's a way of life. And for me, it's values-based leadership. And if you take a look at my website, www.RSG4NH.org. The bottom of that homepage, it has a list of what my values are. Loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, integrity, personal courage, and honor. Loyalty. My loyalty lies with the Constitution, the people of this valley, and my family. It doesn't lie with a political party. It doesn't lie with an extreme or any sort of political ideology. I have always been a centrist. As a military leader, you cannot let anybody know what your political leanings are. You are bound by the UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, to stay neutral. And that's what I did. So my loyalty has always been to the Constitution first. People of the valley, my family. The next one's duty. And what does duty mean? Duty to me is a calling. It's something that many of us share. It's stepping forward. It is fulfilling that purpose and that task and doing the right thing, volunteering for these groups, volunteering to actually step forward and do this. I think that I have a duty to serve, and I've had a duty to serve my whole life. It was a duty and a value that was instilled on me at a young age from my parents. My mom was one of the first volunteers for what is now Starting Point. But back then it was called Carroll County Against Domestic Violence and Rape, Cadaver. Not a very good name. When she started doing it, they didn't even have a shelter. She had a pager. It would go off in the middle of the night, and man, I got scared. but she was going to people's houses and helping take women who were battered and abused and get them the heck out of that situation. My father used to travel all the way down to Boston to make sure that we had health coverage. He traveled that far to get it done. But you know what? He never missed a game and he never missed a race. That duty to family. He was coaching for, Babe Ruth teams. He was coaching for football. He was coaching for ESSC. He's been on the board of directors at the North Conway Country Club, at the Mount Washington Valley Ski Team. I watched my parents fulfill their duty to this community, and that set the standard for me to follow. Respect. I've already talked to a couple of you in here about respect. Respect is paramount. And right now, as a nation, we've lost it. Respect is critical to constructive conversations, to constructive problem solving. Respect means I condone any group or organization that would seek to harm any American, harass, or otherwise intimidate them based on color, creed, race, age, gender, preference, even political leaning. There's no space for that. For me, this thing's gonna blow away, I hope not. Respect is paramount. It's rule one. Treat others as you wish to be treated. Don't say they. How about we? We need to fix the problem. I'm running into a problem with this specific person. I am running into an issue with this. How do we move forward? Not they did it, they stopped it, or they. Respect means treating everybody equally. S, selfless service. I'm not doing this for the money. I'm really not. New Hampshire gets all of $200 over a 2-year period. It's not even going to cover gas in the first 4 trips down. This isn't about me. It's about serving the community that I grew up in and making sure that we take care of our own, take care of our valley, take care of our state. H, honor. Honor means that you have some sort of values that you seek to live up to. And the reason I'm telling you what my values are right up front is so you can hold me to those values for the rest of my life. I've declared them. They're out here. They're open. Hold me to them and hold others to them as well. I, integrity. As we watch what's going on the national stage, integrity becomes ever so important. Do as I say, not as I do. No, that's not integrity. I'm going to do the right thing while people are looking, but I'm going to do whatever I want when they're not. That's not integrity. Integrity is vital. Integrity builds trust. We need to make sure that we have leaders with integrity. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Tell Terry I'm going to be here at this time, I'm bringing a crew to help set up, we do it. Tell Terry, hey, I'm going to be there at this time to help you raise funds for this, I'm going to do it. If I give you my word, I'll stand by that word. P. The last one being P, personal courage. Personal courage means putting what's right ahead of your wealth, your health, or your personal beliefs. And as a representative, it's not about what I think and setting hard lines and I will always fight for this. No, it's about fighting for what the people need in your community. It's overcoming those personal desires and having the right to stand up for what is right and what serves the community in front of you best. So that's who I am, and that's what I'm trying to bring back down to Concord. I'm a local, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a veteran and a community leader, and I'm trying to bring values-based leadership back to the